Hi everyone and welcome back to a new episode of the Altitude Collection Infographics video series. Today I'm gonna be telling you how did we meet the participants from the 1965 Penn State University study conducted or carried out in Nuñoa. So it was August 11th, 2024, when at about 5 p.m. we first met one of the participants who was working at his all-grain mill. We were training in the town of Ayaviri, and that morning we drove along with the company of Pepe, Mika, Jaime, Yesenia, Raúl, and Beatriz. So we were walking around the streets of Nuñoa by 2:30 p.m. or 3 p.m. I would say so, and we were right where the river side of the town is. And we were asking people if they knew about some neighbors who possibly were part of the study as participants or who took part of the study as participants in 1965. So we met the son of Mr. Cirilo Guamán. Cirilo Guamán is it's a worker. It's an old worker, and he owns his grain mill. So his son told us, "Yeah, my parent. He saw the picture that you were sharing us, and he was also looking to the initials of the participants who took place in the 1965 study, and he didn't see his initials, but he was part of the participants. So we asked him if his father would welcome us to make him some question about the studies, and he just welcomed us to enter the where he was working, at the room where he was working at his grain mill. So I will tell you what happened at this moment. Mr. Cirilo Guamán, he invited us for a nice conversation in his old grain mill. I remember he was telling us about, he started the conversation telling us about the American Party, that they came, it was a big group, and they were staying in a house that we, after this speak, we visited, and not only the American researchers, the postgraduate students, and the 6 American athletes visit that summer Nuñoa. They were also accompanied by their families members as wives and so on. So he also told us about the laboratory that was set in the house where they were performing the bicycle test and the cold exposure stress test that they were performing in as part of the studies, and that was in one side of the river. So in the opposite side of the river, it was the dash track, 400-meter dash track with 2 lanes that was built just for the study. We could not see the dash track because the town grew on that direction, and now there are houses built where the track was located. But he explained that they were performing different tests on the track by themselves. So the 2 groups were separate, Highlanders and Lowlanders. The American athletes or Lowlanders, they were doing the test on different days. He told us the history of a participant from Nuñoa who was living in the rural area of Nuñoa, that he was an extraordinary athlete. In the second study, published in 1967, the results from those tests were reported, were shared, and you can see the results from half a mile, 1 mile, 2 mile, and also there was a longest test, the 6 mile test, but that was not performed in this track. Also, for explaining how was the track, Mr. Cirilo Guamán, he defined it as circle on the floor, and that was a really, really exciting moment. He was trying to explain how was the track, but of course he didn't know how to explain that this was a track because he was not familiarized with athletics. Anyhow, he was telling us, he was a little bit sad because he was telling us that he really liked it to run and that he would have really appreciated some advice of how to improve his running times or speed, with just some advice from this physiologist. Also, he told us that the treatment received from Buskirk and the rest of the crew was great, but he could not tell us that he didn't know Professor Buskirk, or he didn't even remember the names of the different researchers as Kollias, Prokop, Akers, Buskirk, or Professor Baker. He didn't remember the name of them. Also, he told us that to get involved in the several experiments they perform, he got a minimum certain amount of money. So that was something that they really appreciate. They were students in the school, and also they were working on helping their families to work in different tasks. So they really appreciate the money they get from the American crew. So now I'm gonna show you the video where Mr. Cirilo Guamán described the track on the floor. Mr. Cirilo Guamán was never told that there were published 3 articles 2 years after the American party left Nuñoa, nor by the American researchers as Paul Baker, Buskirk, Kollias, Prokop, Akers, neither by the Peruvian researcher who collaborated with the Americans, Professor Picón Reátegui. So at some point he felt really pleased to be part of the history of exercise physiology, as we explained it in the global impact that those papers have had along the years. Then we saw him the picture published in 1970, in which in 1970 in a Scientific American journal, in which the mysterious participant is pedaling in a cyclometer, and he was totally 100% convinced that this person was alive and he is still living in Nuñoa, and also his name was Mr. Sabino Machaca. So after this great visit and conversation with Mr. Cirilo Guamán, we walk towards the house where the Americans were hosted, and it was around 500 meters, half a mile, a little bit less than half a mile, from Mr. Cirilo Guamán grain mill. It was so late and very cold in Nuñoa. I would say approximately about freezing point. Yeah, like 0 degrees. When I would say it was like 8 p.m. and we were driving in town, and my friend Pepe was showing that picture to all neighbors that he was stopping by. So then they enter in a convenience store, and several women told them where approximately was living Mr. Sabino Machaca, and that he was owning his own old convenience store. So like few minutes later, Pepe stopped by the proximity of a convenience store, and he and Raul went off the car and knocked the door, and they start to talk with this person and his wife. And suddenly Raul came to the car and told me very, very excited, "Hey Santi, this is the person of the pig." You can imagine how we were feeling, how happy or excited we were feeling, because this pig was taken almost 60 years ago. To be exactly 59 years ago, while they were performing the experiments in Nuñoa. So that was a tremendous happiness for us. So then we asked them if we could interview them. They felt like really, like a little bit unsafe, because for them they were feeling strange. They were feeling like some strangers are coming so late to my store, and why do they want to interview me? And afterwards we start a nice interview. I gotta say that Sabino Machaca was quite nervous compared to Cirilo Guamán, and quite more frustrated. At some point he felt really frustrated that nobody told him about the studies that they published, about the picture of him that was published, about, nothing. After 60 years, nothing, any single letter, any single message. So they were kind of frustrated. And then he started to tell us about the I remember that he was telling us, no, because they were taking us some blood for any of the experiments, and they were measuring our height and our body mass, and he also told us that no one by that time of this group like the Highlanders group were 20 years as it was published in the paper, in the article. He told me that all of them were between 16 and 17 years, and they were all members of the same class of a school. And to me, this is the point that I want to consider, or you to consider, with this issue of this video series, and is that it is not fair to me the use of people who live in remote areas without not even explaining them what we are going to do, or even if we are going to use some images of them, we have them to be participants of such a knowledge. Other than that, we are losing the North. We say in Spain, we are losing the North. So for this reason, this second episode is dedicated to all Nuñoa's residents and participants who took part in this study or collaborate in this study with whoever role they were acting for such participation. Of course, this is a chapter dedicated to Mr. Cirilo Guamán, to Mr. Sabino Machaca, and also to all people who helped me to find them, as I previously mentioned it, but I will mention again. Pepe, thank you so much for all your impressive research work. Mika, thank you so much for your open ears to listen to me and to explain you the purpose for what I wanted to visit Ayaviri and stay in your guest house. Jaime, Raúl, Yesenia and Beatriz for being part of this, I think, interesting and really joyful history. So I will see you in the next chapter. I will show you some videos of Mr. and some pictures of Mr. when we met Mr. Sabino Machaca, and I will see you in the upcoming chapter where I will be talking about more the introduction and the material and method usage of the first research article published as part of the clinical series studies of the Penn State research carried out in Nuñoa in 1965. So hope you enjoy, hope you like it. Subscribe to the channel, and I hope you send me also some comments. Bye folks.